Welcome to the One Bloody Take movie podcast, where we go back in time several decades to browse the aisles of your local video store. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And today we watch the 1987 after-school special, The Video Dead. So get your popcorn and snow caps ready while we give you our bloody take. We watched this movie. I was forced to watch this movie. I watched this movie under duress, just so we're clear. I felt like a hostage the entire time.
That's appropriate, yeah.
This was directed by Robert Scott. I don't know who he is, but if I ever see him on the street, I owe him one. And we have a couple halfway famous people here. This movie was not built for people to be famous, I don't think. I don't think that was the intention.
And when looking for anyone of substance in this, the closest thing that I got was that the first death, the guy who gets the TV early on,
right?
He's the voice of Fern and Clarence, a one-episode character, which is Chad's dad. And I don't know if you're familiar with the cartoon Clarence.
I'm not.
But it's amazing.
Yeah.
It is. It's just about this kid, and like almost nothing can get him down. He just goes out and he has the best day of his life every single day.
No, I'm seeing pictures of it, and I think I understand what's happening already with just seeing still pictures. So I'll take a look at that.
Just to put his personality into perspective, one of my favorite episodes, he goes out to eat and he sees his teacher, and it blows his mind that his teacher is not just like a robot that lives in the classroom, that his teacher leaves the school and has a life outside of it.
I feel like that's consistent with the artwork that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
All right, so the trailer was fine. The cover of the VHS, I think I'd buy it. Like I think if I saw that, it's good enough. It wouldn't be a first choice, but it would be one of those ones that like I would see it and keep it in the back of my mind for the next time I go in there and I don't know what I'm looking for or whatever it is. You know, like this. I wouldn't purposefully get this based on this cover, but I would keep it in mind for a week where I couldn't make a decision.
I think the name of the movie, to me, is doing a lot of the work and getting me to watch it, coupled with the artwork. Like, I'm intrigued as to what's happening. Like, this is before The Ring, before we know that, creatures come out of the TV.
Yeah.
So, I see this in 1987. Most likely, unless there's something else I found that was better, I'm coming home with this. And then I'd be very upset with myself.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd ask for your money back at the Blockbuster, but they don't refund based on lack of quality. They would have gone out of business so much sooner if they did that. So the artwork's good. The movie is a movie. It's a TV with supernatural powers. It's accidentally delivered to the wrong address, and we learn that the TV is a gateway that allows the undead to come into our world and kill the living. I think as a premise, the second sentence, the TV is a gateway that allows the undead to come into our world and kill the living, could be a decent premise.
Yeah.
I think the mistakenly delivered to the wrong address part was mishandled, in my opinion.
I agree. In fact, that's one of the things I changed later on.
So I don't know how I'm supposed to judge this movie. Like I looked, and it was made for about $80,000. I think was the budget that I found. Now, in comparison, for 1987 dollars, I had it. Give me 1 second. Nightmare on Elm Street was made for $1.8 million.
Yes.
So that's a factor of like 5x. So this movie, I expect it to be 5 times less spellbinding, at least effects wise, than Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's fair.
And I don't think it lives up to that.
No.
It is. There's a decent movie inside there, surrounded by a very poor movie. I think
I agree.
Is the best way I can tell this. We can get into it, at the end, but I would probably watch it one more time just to see if I missed anything. But I go into these movies, when we go to the super low budget movies like this, my intention is to find something redeeming about the movie that I can say, yeah, you know, it's a little hokey and all, but there was this one scene that was worth you know, repeat views. And for me, it was the wash machine death and when they all had Sunday dinner together. Those two scenes, they made the movie okay to me. Like they made me okay. All right, I'm fine with the fact that I watched this movie. I no longer regret having watched this movie all the way through.
And while I agree those are some of the more interesting scenes in the movie, the whole premise behind the washing machine death for the bride zombie to get into the washer, have the timer go off, and then the woman of the house to forget that she didn't even put a load in and go get the laundry and then quickly develop rigor mortis as soon as she dies. Like it.
Well, no, don't stop there. Because then, first of all, the next step is that the washing machine turns on without the lid being shut, which isn't a thing.
Yes.
And then after that, apparently the washing machine is very similar to a garbage disposal because the waste that comes out of the into the bin, into the you know, the utility sink is blood. So I don't know where the blood came from. I don't know how the washing machine turned on. None of the scene is good, but it is funny and entertaining.
There's an idea there, and usually, like with the low budget movies, when they attempt something and it falls short, if you can kind of get what they were going for or what it would look like if it had a better actor,
if somebody artistic was involved,
yes, then you could still appreciate it because they're trying. And this movie, I read, it took a year to film because they only could do it on weekends.
Okay.
So with that said, this is going to be the nicest thing I say about the movie. There are a lot of consistency issues in it, but for something like that to film over the course of a year, considering that the consistency issues weren't that awful.
Well,
with the exception of a few very egregious ones.
I'll say that as far as my viewing of it, that you tell me that it was filmed over the course of a year, I didn't see anything that was strikingly unusual that would make me, you know, like not for the film, but for what's happened, because a lot of it's shot outside. So like I didn't see where like all of a sudden there was snow and then there wasn't snow, and you know what I mean? Like there was nothing so brazenly out of place, and that takes a little bit of work. I'm not telling you that they didn't put effort into this. I'm telling you they wasted their effort.
Yeah, that's very accurate. Yes, I agree. Well, the way. Remember when I was talking to you before and I said I turned this off halfway through last time that I just watched it for myself?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't remember the details as to why it upset me so much.
Okay.
But looking back on this now, and I remember it had something to do with the vehicles. We are 10 minutes into the movie and we've seen multiple trucks speed down the road and come to like a halt right before they hit the fence. And then after that, we have a taxi pulling in, coming down the road. So the first like 13 minutes of this movie is just 4 cars coming down the road. And it's all in the same way, same style. It just was weird. Like once you establish the delivery truck arriving once, we don't need to reestablish the delivery truck pulling up the next day. We'll figure it out when they're back and say why they're there. We don't need the shot of the truck coming in. And it was like stuff like that just starts out the movie and you're just like, this shit's going to drag. This is going to go really slow and we're just going to wait. I mean, even though we get a murder right away, I still feel like the movie started out at a snail's pace because they just keep showing us this shit.
I didn't think it dragged all that much. Like I thought it kept moving forward. I hear what you're saying about like it's almost like they're repeatedly showing you B-roll just to fill out the film, and I get that. And on these low budget films, they kind of have to do that if they want to hit their time mark. They don't, especially at this point in time. Like now, it's okay to put out an hour and 9-minute movie and you just distribute it through Asylum and you're fine. At that point in time, you couldn't, you had to have an hour and a half in there. And I will give them credit. Like, they could have stretched out the zombie scenes, or they could have focused more on the gore, but they didn't have the budget for that, and they didn't have the capacity for that. So instead they went with something that they know, we can film more driving, and people are just going to know what driving is, and it's not going to look like, oh, that was a very poor special effects when they drove up.
Right.
The thing that bugged me, the only thing that really bugged me is everybody was speeding up to the house, like you said,
Yes.
but they seemed to live in a cul-de-sac. So I don't know how they didn't know to slow down as they came into the cul-de-sac before they had to jam the brakes right in front of the house.
And even just, common sense wise, the first 3 trucks, well, 2 of them are the same from the TV. And then the second time that they're not delivering anything, they expect to haul something away.
Right.
But they are parking as far away from the driveway as they possibly can. The moving van and the delivery vehicle should be parking on the other side of the road,
right,
not the far right. It's less walking for you to lug heavy shit in, but that's not what they did.
I strongly believe that at this point in the show, I suggest to you that we don't focus on these minute details, because there are big details that we can focus on and complain about.
This will be a 5-hour-long podcast.
We're gonna have to do. This is gonna be a mini series.
But this is what set me off when I watched it the first time, and put me in the wrong frame of mind to even remotely enjoy it.
I get it.
So
I get it. I get that like the minutia has to at least be right. The things that are easy to get right need to be right in order for you to enjoy the things that it's much more difficult to get right.
Because what happens after the first death is we do a time jump for 3 months.
Right.
And it's still fucking autumn. The leaves are the same color. They're the same place. The trees are the same. And I even went, okay, there was a World Series pennant on the fridge with the Tigers and the Cubs. So they're in Michigan or Illinois. How long can it take for the leaves to drop? 4 to 8 weeks between the 2 states. So it's not 3 months. So those are the type of things that we're going to stop talking about going forward, or the movie, or this will take forever.
I want to know who put the house up for sale in the first place. The movie starts out and we meet an author. I think he's an author. Like they don't make it super clear, but they kind of they mention it. Like they mention.
Yes, later there's a one-liner. Yeah.
Henry Jordan, and he's in his house sleeping, and he gets a knock on the door unexpectedly, and it's a delivery of a television. Now, he's not expecting the delivery. He doesn't want to accept the delivery, but the delivery people explain to him that it's already paid for. They are just there to drop it off. They're not there to do anything else. Yep. They don't want to collect. They don't even want him to sign for it. They just want to drop it off and go. And they do. And Henry takes it inside and opens it up, and it's a television. It's an old, decrepit television. Like it's not in good condition.
Yeah. Melted at the top, even in spots.
Right. And his first comment is, I don't even watch TV. And then he plugs it in. And it starts acting a little crazy on him, so he unplugs it. And then it turns itself on. For me, the moment that happened, this movie's going to be very short, because I'm then going to pick up the television, I'm going to carry it outside, I'm going to smash it with a sledgehammer, put those pieces in a bag and run that over with a car, and then put those pieces in a bag and smash it with a sledgehammer again.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bury it, and then I'm going to tell some friends where I buried it out in the woods somewhere. Because there's no scenario where an unplugged TV turns itself on and I go, yeah, I guess I'm going to let that slide. We'll see what happens next.
The only one I would do is if the commercial was for Classy Joe's limo drivers, then yes, that's okay, because you could actually get a job driving a limo with that. But any other thing that's on the television, I am doing exactly what you said.
Yeah, there's no. I understand he doesn't watch TV, so maybe he doesn't understand how television works in the 80s. But
he knows how appliances work.
You would think. But there's just really no scenario where an unplugged appliance that has no battery turns itself on, and I'm just at all remotely. I might actually burn the house down just to be sure that it wasn't about the house. It wasn't about the house and not the TV.
Yeah.
No, just no. So he does ignore this massive red flag, and what we see is there's a zombie movie on TV, and he watches it for a moment or two, and basically, much like The Ring, like you said, the zombies kind of climb out of the TV, and they attack and kill Mr. Jordan.
And they did a decent job with the zombie coming out of the television, because they basically they knock it on the ground so the back is flat on the ground,
right.
And then you can have somebody come up underneath, and we don't see the full person emerge, but the head comes out, and then we see the feet moving. So limited budget, that's pretty clever. Good job, guys.
To me, they did better with like those sort of motion effects than they did with the actual look of the zombies.
Yeah.
So now that he's dead, we have no choice but to sell the house, obviously. And it takes a stunning, I'm going to say stunning, 90 days from the day that he gets murdered by zombies for the house to be cleaned up, put on the market, and then sold. So whoever was in charge of his estate did not like him whatsoever, because there was not even a moment of like, we should stall this for a few months and really try to see what happened. It was just get this thing the hell out of here and sell the house.
I feel like it's an active crime scene for 90 days, because especially it's an unsolved murder. They don't know zombies did this.
Right. And also zombies did this wouldn't be on their list of possibilities.
And they take everything out of the house with the exception of the television. They leave the TV behind, and the TV goes up to the attic.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, we didn't see anyone move the TV to the attic. So, and this is going to be something I'm going to have a problem with in just a second, but perhaps one of the zombies hid the TV up in the attic.
Yes.
Like that TV is in a completely barren attic. So maybe whomever was in charge of emptying out the house and everything, okay, the attic is empty, we don't need to go up there, we're good there. And then the zombie, relocated the TV. So there's a pathway to that, but I hear you.
And while we don't see the zombies leave the house, we can assume they did, because when the delivery men show up the next day to get the TV back, the front door is unlocked.
Right.
So it's suggesting that something left.
Which I have a massive problem with, because it's now we now time jump after this death to 3 months, like you said.
Yeah.
Those zombies climbed out of that TV, and they went somewhere for 90 days.
Yep.
And putting aside the fact that zombies are basically beings that are going through rigor mortis and should basically decay over a short window of time, we're led to believe at some point in the movie that they need to eat and they need to drink to sustain themselves. So for 90 days, these zombies were hidden somewhere. I don't know what they were up to, but they had to be in secret for 90 days, because still nobody knows they're zombies at the 90-day mark when they sell the house.
I feel like they want us to believe that they're living in the shack in the woods.
Okay.
But I would also think that when they go out into the woods, we should see some dead animals.
Right.
Just birds, something.
Trails,
something that's been killed.
And these are
we're not.
These are woods that are clearly for hunting. And no hunter swung by that shack and was like, "Oh, look, zombies!" I knew there were zombies in the area. You could tell, and also zombies smell awful because of the decay. But we're just led to believe that they just existed for 90 days, which then goes to another issue that I have with the movie. Why? Like their deal was they come out of the TV and they kill people. Why did they decide to stay dormant while the house was on the market?
Right. Yeah. We got to wait for someone else to come and use the TV.
Yeah.
Like, you think they would just go back into the TV and then wait for somebody else?
That's not a bad idea.
They're exposed.
Yeah.
So,
they're completely exposed, and just we're just supposed to let that slide. That's worse to me than the trucks driving up to the house too fast.
I would argue that April walks through those woods multiple times a week.
Walking the dog.
So
Walking
that
chocolate.
that should at least attract the zombies' attention.
It did. The one time Chocolate got loose on her own.
Yeah.
It did.
But when April's just walking through, the zombies didn't care.
No.
But I mean, then that we're led to believe that they only kill. They only kill because people are afraid, and it reminds them that they're not alive. So then they kill people that are afraid because they're not alive. That was the best I could make with that, because not all of it was forthright with what he was saying. Because even Jeff is like, so what happens if I'm not afraid? And Josh just ignores it. So left to themselves, are they actually just going to kill people if that person's not afraid? Like, they're not going to sneak up on anyone and kill them.
Right.
They're going to want to be seen to scare the person, to raise their fear level, and then kill them. But it's not like they feed on the fear to keep them going. None of it makes sense.
No, it doesn't at all. No, because even if you use that, like, they have to be afraid in order for the zombies to want to attack. At no point in time were there some kids in those woods at night that were like stirring up trouble or whatever and being afraid like kids might do. Like, just it was a neighborhood by those woods. Like, it wasn't like one house in the middle of nowhere where you can say, okay, it's kind of wilderness here. The nobody really ever. This was a neighborhood, and it seemed like it was near a highway when they panned out a little bit. So there's population in this woods all the time. And
based on how they shot it, this street has to be several miles long, because when April screams and when she finds her dead father and the maid, Jeff is like, April's house. And he runs outside, and it's light outside. And his jacket is open. And then as he's going, it gets dark, and his jacket's closed. So it's far enough away for the sun to have set and the temperature to have dropped.
And then he got chilly.
By the time Jeff arrives at April's house.
Whole seasons have passed.
If I'm to believe that, then I have to think that there's like 1,000 people that live on this street, which should only increase the chances of seeing the zombies.
Right. And that just, it doesn't happen.
No.
So, getting away from that for a second to move forward with the plot, we meet a couple of kids who have moved into the house. Now, that seems odd, but what we learn is that their parents are out of the country, conveniently, and purchased the house and are letting the kids move in before they come home. No, this is another very ridiculous plot point. I understand that you want to get the kids isolated because it adds to the allure of the movie. I get that. This wasn't the way to do it. This is a horrible way to do it. And they could have just Uncle Bucked the whole thing and said we had to go to a funeral in Chicago and we'll be back in a couple days.
They just need to leave.
Yeah, but not. We're out of the country. We've purchased a house through escrow while we were out of the country, and we're going to send our kids sight unseen to go move into the house themselves. Absolutely not.
It's such a weird choice to do this, and especially how the parents act at the end.
Yeah,
I would question if the director hated his parents.
That ending. Oh, that ending is going to be a big conversation because that ending pissed me off no end. That ending couldn't have been worse, because in the scope of what we saw leading up to the ending, that ending makes absolutely zero sense. 0 sense at all.
It made so much not sense that the only way for it to have made sense would have been if it was a dream. That's the only way you can explain what I just saw happened, is if she then wakes up.
Or she has got a snow globe. One of those two options. That's it. That ending. Anyway, so the kids move in. They have 2 TVs, which in the 80s was a very luxurious statement to make. And they find a third TV in the attic, which of course is the zombie TV as we know. So Jeff, right? The boys Jeff and the girl Zoe, right?
Yes.
Jeff gets high and puts on the TV and summons zombies. I don't know what the right word for it is, but unleashes zombies. This
was after, though, a strange man appears at the house and warns him of a TV that kills people. And he hears the TV in the attic talking to him.
Right.
And
right.
Yes. When Jeff goes down to answer the door, because everyone loves to sleep in this movie. Everyone is constantly asleep.
Well, the houses are 19 miles apart. We discussed this, so everybody's exhausted all the time.
So, just curious, if you happen to be sleeping and someone's at your door, what do you do?
I'm not sure where you're going with this, but to be perfectly honest with you, if I'm out cold, I don't even know that that someone's at the door.
Well, okay, that is fair, but otherwise, I mean, I ignore anyone who knocks at the door today because there's nothing anyone has to say. If it's a neighbor, they're telling me they're coming over.
Right.
No one just surprises you anymore.
Right.
So, but in this case, Jeff, still wearing the same shirt from the previous day that he slept in, arrives at the door shirtless. So at some point, he thought it was a good idea to take his shirt off to answer the door.
Mm-hmm.
And his shirt, sleeping in that, if it's any indication based on his shoes and pants, it's absolutely fucking filthy.
Yeah.
Because right from the start, right after Zoe arrived, and she took like 2 minutes to take in the house while the movers were standing there. And I'm like, what a fucking asshole. Like, they're waiting on you and you're just going, my house.
What a place to be.
Yeah. Which she shouldn't even be arriving separately from Jeff. They should already be in the same house previously and arriving there together. But we get a POV shot from the woods acting like it's a zombie with Jeff dragging his leg like he's a zombie. Shoes that are barely attached. I mean, yes, I have worn my Converse down to that before, so I do kind of understand, but they're selling it as a zombie. And then they go into the house. He can't open the door even though it's unlocked. And then goes into the kitchen. She drops a glass and it's Jeff. And he's got his luggage. Where did Jeff come from?
You expect me to answer that?
Oh, no,
okay.
Because there is no answer.
Right.
The way they shot this was Jeff was living in the woods. Jeff picked up his belongings, walked through the woods, and went to the house. He didn't arrive by the street, and they love using that street. He arrived by walking through the woods with a big old suitcase in his arm.
He was there for 72 hours. He was waiting for the right of rescission to expire, and then he knew the house was his and he could move in.
I mean, I knew we were getting duped, but I was furious because it wasn't just the POV shot. I could be fine with that to an extent. It was the dragging of the leg. Not something, Jeff's not even like, oh, my legs hurt. He just did it so we'd think it was a zombie.
They did that gag sort of shooting from the knees down a couple times in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is just more evidence that they kind of lacked creativity. Yeah. Once they got past what at that point in time was a pretty slick plot, that was as far as they got. They were sitting around one night at a bar just before closing time, and one guy said, "You know, it would be really cool if zombies came out of the TV," and the other guy was like, "We're making a movie. I got $80,000 to burn on this," and that was as far as they got with their creativity.
Yeah. And just want to say, the character of Jeff is a raging asshole.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. He's the prototype like 80s asshole too.
Yeah. When he's sitting down with his sister at the breakfast table, and she goes, "I'm going to college. I'm going to major in aerobics." Jeff is pissed. And then he's like, I'm afraid to ask what your minor is. And she goes, music video. And he is displeased in a way that can only suggest that she's fucking up his plans of him mooching off of her for the rest of his life. Because he's like, this is unacceptable. I mean, in a way, though, he is right, because these are not real majors. Aerobics are a smaller part of another program, just like majoring or minoring in music video isn't something you can do. It's part of communications, which is part of radio, TV, film, which is, it's so niche. It's not a major or a minor. It's a class in a grander scheme.
And I think a better question is, it seems like this is the first that Jeff is hearing of this.
Yeah.
How did you live with your sister for all this time?
He's been living in the woods. Yeah.
You're right. Never mind. He was living in the woods. I forgot.
Oh.
So yeah, you're right. So Jeff hears the TV talking to him.
Yeah.
After the guy comes to the door, right? After the Texan comes to the door.
Yes, after the Texan, which also took him 3 months. It took him 3 months to figure out where the TV was after a murder.
So I don't think that bothered me, because first of all, it's the 80s, so the news doesn't quite travel like it would in other circumstances. But then on the other hand, how famous of a writer was Henry Jordan?
Yes.
But then on the other hand, right? So the news article is just going to be, someone snuck into Henry Jordan's house and killed him. It's not going to be, we have evidence that they're zombies, right?
Right.
So that the Texans' whole job is just to figure out where this TV was misdelivered and what happened. But he doesn't really have a lot to go on beyond that. He knows it was misdelivered, right?
Right. It would be the delivery. You'd have to get in touch with the delivery service.
Well, so then this brings us to a second point, though. Since we don't know who sent the TV, we have to
no, we do.
We know?
It was a Texan. It was Josh. Josh says, I sent it to the Institute of the Occult, and it was misdelivered. So he is the one. It was previously his TV. I believe it killed his wife, killed someone. Yeah.
Right. You're right. And he wanted it to get studied. So depending on the delivery service, right? Like, I'm trying to think of how it plays out, but there's nothing that's obviously the TV can turn on whenever it wants. So there's nothing that says that the TV didn't do more damage along the way, and whomever was delivering it aren't a legitimate delivery service, right? Like,
well, when the TV's unpacked, the mirror is tied to it,
right,
which prevents them from getting out. So it was sort of.
But we don't know that was his mirror. Right, like there's a whole whole window in here that we've lost. So him taking 90 days to finally figure out where it is, I'm not totally angry at that. If this movie was happening in 2015, 2020, I'm furious with that. Like, how did it take you this long? But
you just look at the picture.
In 1987 with 300 baud modems, this is not unreasonable, especially based on the accent. I assume he lives nowhere near this place, right?
Texas.
He lives in Texas, and we're assuming they're somewhere at least in Chicago, in Illinois, or Michigan, even further north. So
he says it took several hours, I believe, to make the trip. So it's at least central, if not upper north. Yeah.
So I'm not terribly upset with that. I can overlook that because there's so many other things I can't overlook. I got to give him some. I got to let him slide somewhere.
Yeah.
But within this same scene, the thing I can't let slide is this man comes to the door, specifically says, there's a funky ass TV that was delivered to this house.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything? And the kid says no and goes about his day. And then there's a funky ass TV in the attic that starts talking to him. And he does not have the wherewithal to say, you know, like 2 hours ago, a stranger came to my door and said that this sort of thing might exist in this house. Nothing. Just nothing at all.
Yeah.
What I need to do is put this TV in my bedroom that I was just told could kill me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and maybe the Texan could have been more vague, and then we would have been like, okay, he didn't realize he was talking about it. But this guy said it is a television, it is deadly, and it will kill everyone, and it was delivered to this house. And then this kid just finds an errant TV that was talking to him, that was hitting on him. It wasn't even just talking to him, it was hitting on him. And then it came out and started making out with him, and he was still just like, yeah, you know, that's how this 3D stuff is really out of hand these days.
He was upset when she left.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was gonna turn off the movie, this is where I would have turned it off. Like, I can't deal with this kid being this fucking dumb.
I believe that is about where I did. Because I don't remember any of the deaths that come after this.
I persevered because, you know, it's an obligation at this point.
Yeah.
But him just like there. So it goes back to the filmmakers again. There's so many ways that scene at the door could have played out that would have made it less egregious that this kid went and got that TV and put it in his room and just ignored that exactly what he said was going to happen was happening. It could have been a friend who told him about the TV. It could have been not the TV. Like the Texan didn't tell him it was a TV. He just said there's a source of evil in this house.
Yes.
Right? Like there's so many ways that could have played. And you go, oh, well, maybe he didn't realize. But the fact that the rest of the movie is spelled out in grave detail right here, and he just,
yeah, whatever.
We're not going to get another 70 minutes out of this movie if I pretend like this TV's bad.
Yeah, I think that's what you just have to have your characters act in ways that nobody would ever act.
Yeah.
Or the movie's over.
Or you have to write it so that they're not acting in ways, but you're still getting to your end point.
I'm taking consideration the talent level of what we have to work with here. So the characters have to ignore it.
It kind of frustrates me when we do the show, because I don't necessarily think I'm some brilliant person, and I don't know how you feel about your own intelligence, but we see these massive holes in the writing. Forget the special effects, forget the directing, forget the anachronisms. In the writing itself, we see these massive holes, and they either don't or they just ignore them. And if they ignore them, then I'm furious with them. But if they just don't see these holes, how did you miss such an obvious thing? Like, how did you miss such a thing? Like, this guy explained the plot of the movie, and this guy pretended he didn't hear it.
Well, and the even with that, I feel like this movie is so much like they think they're getting out ahead and preventing issues of understanding or things not making sense, because everything is fucking explained to us. Whether it makes sense or not, it's explained. And in little stupid ways. Like when Zoe's in the taxi at first, she's asleep with her hand open, holding a key on a ribbon. Nobody does that, but it's letting us know she's got a key, so she must be using it for the house, even though in 3 seconds she'll be at the fucking house and going inside. Like, that they over explain everything to us and announce what they're doing. And and when it's like, I understand why you're doing that, because you're trying to provide us with motivation as to how somebody would act and why they would do something. But when the thing is stupid, it doesn't matter. that you've explained it to us.
Right. So, in all fairness, this movie is the first of its kind with the zombies coming out of the TV. So they were afraid that the audience wouldn't understand. So they really had to paint the picture.
Yeah.
And this is the inexplicably dumb way that they chose to do this.
Yes. So
now Josh blames it on the marijuana, is what he does, and then flushes the marijuana down the toilet.
With the bag, for some reason.
With the bag.
He dumps it and then throws the bag down the toilet.
Standard, the police are at the door behavior. And he doesn't tell anyone, right? He doesn't, like, get April and say, hey, did you happen to see ladies coming out of the TV last night?
No, it takes the only time that this becomes a reality for him is when he wakes up the next day in the same fucking shirt and sees what the woman has disrobed and left on the floor. That's when this becomes real to him.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, Jeff meets April, the neighbor. I know we're jumping all over the place here, but we got to get all of our characters in under the umbrella. So he meets April. April is from up the street, and she doesn't identify where up the street she's from. She doesn't say, does she live on this block? Does she live on the block
important.
over, or anything of that nature?
And she also doesn't give a last name, which is also important.
Right, because Jeff manages to call her, even though we've never seen them exchange phone numbers, and even if you had the white pages handy, you're gonna call every April in the phone book like the Terminator did, looking for Sarah Connor. Yeah. At least he knew her last name, though.
And just not only is Jeff an asshole, he's incredibly stupid. The maid answers the phone with a German accent, and he's like, April?
Right.
Like, if the father answered the phone, April?
Jeff is the least astute person that I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
So April has a dog, and the dog's name's Chocolate, and at one point Chocolate gets loose and is in the woods, and April goes looking for her, and we hear her scream.
Yeah.
So Jeff is concerned, obviously, for his new girlfriend. So they go out looking, and they find Chocolate dead in the woods. And April, I'm guessing, I'm not sure, it must be on some sort of probation from earlier animal mangling, because she's confident that this dog getting eaten in the woods is going to lead to her in the gas chamber.
Yeah, I do. It's like, if they find out, I'm going to go to reform school.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, are her parents that pissed at her? No, she's dog walking a neighbor's dog.
Right. And listen, you don't want to come back and say to your neighbor, I'm sorry, your dog is dead. But at the same time, a small dog getting attacked in the woods is not like a wildly unusual experience. Like, but
you could have just put the leash back on it.
Yeah.
And then say something, we're walking through the woods.
Scared the crap out of me.
Fox came out, and and talking about what I was talking about with the explanation. In order for Chocolate to get out, Chocolate has to be off the leash.
Right.
In order to be off the leash, there has to be a reason we take him off the leash.
Of course.
So we have to ask Jeff permission if it's okay to take Chocolate off the leash because they're wearing her arm out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is...
That little 4-pound
This is not a Rottweiler.
Is taxing her.
Yeah. This is a tiny little poodle. Like, you have 2 arms. Switch
over.
Like,
take the leash and tie it around, a chair, and then sit on the chair.
Yeah.
And take a breather.
And I will say I did not care for the kink shaming of Chocolate.
No.
April is concerned that Chocolate's going to get sprayed by a skunk because she knows Chocolate will try to make out with a skunk.
Yeah.
And getting sprayed by the skunk is really going to turn Chocolate on. So that means she's had to have witnessed Chocolate get sprayed by the skunk and then treat that like it's some aphrodisiac and then go to town on the skunk. I would be concerned that I have to smell my dog with a skunk, and my dog, whose smelling is so much more sensitive than me, has to smell the skunk on them. Not my dog's gonna fuck a skunk.
It's a very Pepe Le Pew situation. So,
Yes.
you know, in the 80s, you're just accustomed to the idea that various species will have sex with skunks without really caring about it. So our Texan Josh comes back, and now finally Jeff is prepared now to accept Josh's information, because things happened exactly the way that he said they would.
Oh, and there is one other piece of information that makes Josh's actions even more incredibly stupid.
As if
Is
that was
April
possible.
April tells him he's moved into the murder house.
Yes. Yeah.
And that doesn't, hey, the guy was talking about a TV that can kill people. I found the TV. People have been killed in my house. Nah.
It could be any TV. Any
Yeah.
random person could have put any random TV in here. Just because these two strangers have laid out the exact plot of the movie to me doesn't mean I have to buy into it.
Yeah. Not even slightly concerned.
No. Then we get our big moment where, you know, we get the title of the movie. There's no doubt about it. It was The Video Dead. I want him and his video dead out of here before she's through.
Yep.
Thank goodness, because I didn't know what movie I was watching until they said that.
I mean, I always liked it, but ever since Family Guy, you said the name of the movie. Like, that is all I hear now. Anytime that happens, there's just like this excitement explosion that goes off in my head because they've said the name of the movie.
Right.
And like, sometimes it makes sense. Other times it's forced in, you know, like, yeah.
Depends on the name of the movie, but yeah, sometimes it's hammered in there, and other times it's just like, all right, that's fine. That would come up organically in dialogue.
Well, I'll be damned if this isn't Breaking 2, the Electric Boogaloo. Like, you're gonna force that in.
Yeah.
But if somebody says rad and rad, okay.
Yeah, I could see that with a bunch of bikers around. That's fine. They may not have even realized they were saying the name of the movie. It's not like he stopped his bike and looked in the camera. That move was rad. And then we move on.
Oh, yeah.
So this is where we get our backstory finally. The TV killed Josh's wife. And the TV can't be destroyed because it sneaks into your brain and plays tricks, which...
Yeah.
I didn't understand why that part, like, we've already seen that the TV physically manifests. Why are we also having the TV, like, and it manifests pretty much unprompted, right? Like, the author didn't do anything to make that TV do that.
Right, it's just on.
The kid didn't do anything to make that TV do that. So why do we need this other tweak on the story? We didn't at all. We could stick with it. It can't be destroyed for whatever reason. It just it rebuilds itself, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I've blown it up. The next day I wake up, it's back together.
Right.
Like, it doesn't need to make logical sense as to why it can't be destroyed.
No.
With the exception that it at least can't not make sense, if I'm saying that properly.
Right.
Because this makes no sense.
Right.
Like, any other reason they gave would have made sense.
Yeah.
This was like the one thing.
This was the
that
worst.
Yeah,
because they could have given the TV like Plastic Man powers, where as long as one atom of the TV exists, it can reassemble and find itself. But,
right, or it jumps in, whatever's inside of it when you destroy it jumps into another TV.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. It's not necessarily the device itself; it's what's haunting the device. Yeah. So you can smash this TV, but the curse lives on until you execute some other, series of ceremonies. So now we have now we have the full thing. We find out that Josh, like you said, Josh is the one who actually shipped it in the first place, but he had shipped it to get looked at, to get investigated because of what happened to his wife.
Right.
we learn that Josh figured out that you put mirrors in front of them and they hate looking at themselves. So this is how you defeat them, which is weird. Oh, God.
I was going to say, Josh seemed to know a lot when really at this point, he doesn't know that much more than Jeff. Like, yes, his wife died, but why do you know what makes these zombies tick? Why do you know that this is the reason they don't like to see themselves? And, because at one point he even said, like, to kill them, you have to kill them like you'd kill a human because they think they're alive. And then you can convince them after you've used a weapon you'd use on a human that they're dying. But they never did any of that. When they went out in the woods to hunt, they didn't convince shit. They didn't even attempt.
I don't even, in my mind, I understood the sentences that they were saying. I don't know how that plays out. Like, oh, I shot you. I guess you're dead. Lay down and die. Oh, damn it. Okay. And then the zombie just lays down and is dead. They went too far with their zombie.
Yes.
With their zombie story.
And even you can't bury it. You have to let nature claim it.
Right.
That seems like something he's been dealing with for a year, not the brief amount of time that he had the television before he sent it off. So, yeah. I
jotted it down a couple times in my notes and I never came to a conclusion, but I feel like if we were to watch this movie again and pay attention to it with a different lens, there's some kind of allegory here that the director or the writer is trying to make. And this, this isn't a zombie movie. This is and this isn't it, but this is a movie about climate change and the zombies represent, you know what I mean? Like there's some allegory here that makes all of this okay, and I couldn't find that allegory either. So I think I was giving them too much credit.
Because these are only zombies in appearance. They don't follow any zombie lore.
Right.
You don't have to hit them in the head. In fact, they are hit in the head and nothing happens.
Right.
They don't eat brains.
Right.
In fact, the first murder has a throat slit.
Yes.
So apparently they go around slitting people's throats, and and they come up with creative ways to kill. They stalk, they use tools, they understand so much. I mean, you might say, well, okay, some zombies learn, but that's nothing about them says they're a zombie other than the fact that we were told they were in a zombie movie. So it's almost like the actors who were in a zombie movie died and then just came back to life as themselves. That's really what we got here.
So that's the one way to kill them. And then the other option is to trap them in a place with no escape, and they'll go crazy and eat themselves. Now, when you tell me that at this point in the movie, I'm going to assume that that's a process. Like I trap them, and then maybe I come back 4 or 5 days later, and they have started this eating themselves process. What I didn't know was it's about 3.5 minutes before they give up on the idea of escaping from somewhere, or even trying really to escape somewhere, and they just immediately start eating themselves and each other.
And they are no more trapped in the basement than they were trapped in the living room, trapped in the kitchen, trapped in the woods. Yes, there's a mirror on the door at the top of the basement steps, because that's where everyone puts their mirrors. And the mirror should not even be there, because earlier they said get every single mirror available in the house, but they left that one for some reason. Now, I will give Zoe and Jeff some credit. Maybe they're not expecting a mirror to be on the interior of a door that leads down the steps to the basement, and they haven't familiarized themselves with the basement yet because they just moved in.
Right.
Even though there's a bunch of shit down there. Okay. But they're not trapped. And with all the tools they can use, they can just take something, throw it at the mirror breaks, and now they can go up. Or you close your eyes, because it's not like the mirror sucks their energy. They just don't like seeing themselves. So walk up the steps backwards, and then just rip the mirror off, or close your eyes and open the door. you're not trapped in the basement.
So the first response to that becomes like, they're zombies. They don't have these reasoning capabilities to say, oh, mirrors, we need to avoid them. Let's close our eyes and we'll be fine. But there is something that happens towards the end of the movie that clearly tells you that they have reasoning and thoughts and can communicate.
Yes. You know, like they know how to work a blender. They know how to work a washing machine. When Jeff is hung up like bait, they realize, oh, well, let's get some sticks, and they know how to set traps.
Right.
So they can think just like a human can think, and they can use tools just like a human can use tools.
Yeah, and they can communicate with each other.
Yes.
In a little more, simplistic way, but they can clearly communicate with each other because they can tell each other when there's a problem.
Yeah.
So then you go back to, so why didn't they just smash the mirrors? Did they not want 7 years bad luck? But they're already zombies, so we're past that. So these are all just massive problems with this movie.
Yes.
The bags themselves in this movie, because I want to hold how the movie ends for
that makes sense
down the line. The bags in this movie are mostly unimpressive, but by the same token, they knew they weren't going to be impressive, so they didn't film them as if they thought they were going to be impressive. There was a lot of focusing on feet and legs flopping around when someone's being attacked on the upper half of their body and things of that nature. And I think that shows some serious self-awareness and insight. I think it's much better than, going and trying to make these things look gory and scary, and you don't have the budget for it and you don't have the skills for it. Instead, they said, we're going to tell you what's happening symbolically, and then maybe we show you the crime scene afterwards, and that's where we can put a little effort into this.
Right. A lot of the deaths are off screen, so we don't always see the death necessarily, but we'll see the end results, and sometimes we don't even see the end results.
Right. We just know that that's what happened.
Right. It's like they had only enough money to show us a couple of them, and then moved on. And I think that's the better outcome.
Absolutely.
If you can't do it to your satisfaction, even though it may not be up to par for what your viewers want, don't attempt it at all.
Right. Find a more creative way to tell me that this person is getting slaughtered than trying to focus on something that you can't pull off.
Yeah.
And they did do that. So our first body bag is Henry Jordan, the author, who gets a TV that he didn't expect to receive, and a zombie comes out and slits his throat. And that was a decent scene all around. Like the entire Henry Jordan segment of this movie was not bad. That scene had me wondering why you would shut this off. This is not bad for a low budget, straight to video movie at all.
Right. Some minor complaints with this scene. When he asks for a cigarette, this is like the sitcom setup joke.
Right.
He asks for a cigarette. When the delivery men get there, the guy says, "I don't smoke." The other one just says, "I chew," and then spits right on his step. Which, I think he could have been punched for that, but that's a completely separate issue. They do make it a point to show like this guy's depressed. We get 2 dead goldfish. One's been floating for so long it sank. So when he tells the delivery man, the only thing I order is pizza, when he goes back inside, have like 3 to 5 open pizza boxes strewn about with some beer cans,
crusts on the floor.
That's not going to cost you anything.
Right.
You're ordering pizza for the crew anyway. It sells your story a little more.
Right.
But the most perplexing thing to me in this whole part is when the delivery men show up the next day and that door opens, they acted like they see this shit all the time. Like, weren't fazed at all. And I was confused as to why he was wearing a birthday party hat and the court seemed to be standing on its own, unless I'm the one that just didn't see how it was suspended. But now we're getting cutesy. He got the cigarette he wanted. The cigarette is just hanging from his lips. He didn't have one before. So where did it come from? Did the zombies come out of the TV with cigarettes in their pocket? Which might support the theory I just thought up as a complete joke, that these are not zombies. These are actors in a movie that were playing zombies that died and came back, and one of them smokes, so they had cigarettes on them. Where's the cigarette come from?
Well, just because he's asking the delivery men for cigarettes doesn't mean he's out of them, right? He could just be trying to conserve his surplus.
Yes.
And because he never says that. He doesn't say, I'm all out of cigarettes, do you guys have any? He just asks them for cigarettes. So it doesn't automatically mean he's out of them. But the rest of it, yeah, you're right. And I also feel like in the 80s and maybe even the 70s too, if you're watching a movie and there's an author, they are always like depressed and run down, and like they've been in a dark room for the last 50 days trying to come up with their next big story because the publisher's going to cut their funds if he don't. And so it didn't stand out to me that he was like this once I was told that he was a writer.
And when he's standing there seems to be like the base of a lamp that he was hit so hard with, the base went into his body cavity and stayed there.
Yeah.
Because it's just hanging upside down. And at no point did I see the zombies do anything. I mean, yeah, they could pick people up, but it was all like a slow motion. So for the zombies to generate the amount of power that would be needed to drive that through someone's body, they have to be ultra quick. So there's no way any of this could have happened.
It was a drop 10 lamp, so you really generate a lot of speed at that length. So. So that's how Henry winds up dead. That's how we wind up with our murder house. And you know, this is where we time phase forward to our new owners. And also we meet a person who lives up the street, April. She's got the dog, and the dog's the next bag. I don't like it when you kill an animal in a movie. I don't think it's necessary. Hopefully Chocolate's okay now.
Especially a dog.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not a huge cat fan. I'm highly allergic to them. I still don't want to see them dead. But when it comes down to it, I'm gonna vote for the dog to live.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dog doesn't bark. Dog doesn't do anything. Dog just accepts its fate. Dog dies.
Yeah. And did you know Jeff was a veterinarian?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he was instantly able to see the body and just diagnose it as a heart attack.
Yep. Even though there was like blood. There was like blood all on Chocolate's like chest area. But he was like, yeah, you know how heart attacks, they leak blood sometimes. So yeah. Good on Jeff for recognizing the symptoms.
And staying consistent with Jeff being an asshole. The way out of this for April is to come up with a lie that a stranger threw a ball and Chocolate ate it and choked on it. And to do this, they're just going to get a ball and push it down the dog's throat. So,
that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So
instead of just going with something happened in the woods.
Right. Just a whole story that she sold. We find out that she did sell the story and they believed it.
And she blamed Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff goes back with this TV, the aforementioned evil TV that he was explicitly warned about. And he plugs it in, and there's a lady that comes out and starts making out with him, and this, that, and the other thing. And then she goes back into the TV, which really upsets him because now she's just a tease. And then somebody on the TV comes and slits her throat. And we learned that guy is the garbage man, and he explains he's like the zombie hunter in the movie that's in the TV.
Yes.
So, which puts you down a whole other path of lore that they don't touch on whatsoever, because in some capacity you either can have humans go into the TV, or you had humans in the TV in the first place that can then like quickly communicate with the watcher. Like, hey, put a mirror on the TV right now, please, because this is not going to go the way you think it's going to go. And that never happens.
And maybe there was some seeds of an idea here, because I did read that there was going to be a sequel, which they didn't do.
It wasn't shot.
Where people go into the television.
Yeah.
So that could be it. But when you're seeing this for the first time, and the guy's like, I'm the garbage man, here's what's going on, I expect to see the garbage man again. Or someone else of his stature.
Yeah, 100%. The fact that guy never showed up again to assist in any manner was perplexing to me.
Yeah. It just made no sense.
No.
Yeah.
The only thing that was consistent about this movie was the lack of sense.
And really, you can just resolve this and have Jeff kill the woman here, because as they're making out, he sees who she is in the mirror.
Right. Very They Live-ish.
And it could even be like an accident, like he freaks out and she falls back and like breaks her neck or something. I mean, but they all come back anyway. So or at least he thinks he killed her, and then she's gone.
Right.
And then sees like the mark she made in the wall the next day where she fell or something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Instead, he winds up taking masking tape and putting it all over the TV, which, okay, he's finally listening. There was a zombie coming out while he was trying to do this, and he manages to cut their arm off and then gets the mirror on the TV. And so the next thing he does, which makes all the sense in the world, is he puts the arm down the garbage disposal.
In the dirtiest fucking sink in human history.
Well, I mean, they just moved into the house that's been sitting vacant for 90 days. It's not exactly going to be sparkling.
It was all their food mess. Like, the garbage disposal side had enough water in it to have more fish swim in it. Like, there was so much food debris, and then all of a sudden it was just gone, because he had to remove all the dishes from the one side that were soaking in filthy water. And this is also day 3 of Josh wearing the same shirt.
They haven't unpacked yet.
Yeah. Oh no, he had time to put all his posters up that were in the luggage, but he hasn't taken out a secondary shirt.
In case April stops by again, she needs to know what he's all about.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put that woman, even though she's now probably a zombie, she's dead as far as we're concerned.
Yes.
And then we go to the Ellison house. That is where April lives. April Ellison and her parents.
Just her dad. Her mom does not live there.
Who's the lady? Oh, is that
the maid?
That's the maid, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Which she just goes, my dad's having sex with the maid.
Right. That
gross.
Just randomly spits that out. No one asked. No one asked you, April. No one asked. And so April gets attacked by a cluster of zombies, and one of them picks her up to strangle her. And this is the second time in the movie I considered shutting it off. Her acting style while being choked to death was beneath 80s wrestling level believable. Her tongue came out for some reason, and she didn't look like she was really suffering. She just looked like a doll. Like they squeezed her neck and her tongue came out, like it just air pushed out. And also, while she's being strangled, she's alive for like 5 or 6 minutes while having her throat crushed.
Well, the hallway is the same distance as the distance between Jeff's house and April's house.
That's how they practice.
Because I could have sworn that he pushed her up against a wall and then just kept going until they got to another wall. And I also think that I feel like they had 2 different takes of this, because that would explain the wall scenario. And then 2, she grabs some knitting needles and then never uses them, but then grabs an iron and uses it. And even though she's holding on for dear life, she takes the time to take the iron and hold it up here for maybe 2 or 3 seconds before slamming it down So I was confused as to why do we grab the knitting needles and then not even use them. You're going to use any weapon. Now the iron is a better weapon, but you're going to still try to stab them with the knitting needles and then grab the iron instead of throwing away the weapon that you have.
So this director, writer, whatever, they do enjoy a good misdirect. They do enjoy a good, here's the legs, but that's not the zombie type of stuff. So in this case, you see her finally get her hands on the knitting needles, and you're like, oh, okay, she's gonna save herself from her fate, and then she doesn't. Like, they love the misdirect. So after they kill her, they go upstairs to kill Mr. Ellison, and I found this humorous at first, and then I went back to double check because I wasn't sure of how things work. But one of the zombies takes his glasses and wears his glasses and his suit for the rest of the movie. And at first I thought they were trying to like insinuate that as soon as the zombies kill you, you can become a zombie, and then that was Mr. Ellison. But then I was like, nah, that guy is not even built like Mr. Ellison at all. So they killed him and then took his glasses and started mocking him.
This is where we see that the zombies really not acting like zombies. They get into the house and they're doing a bunch of stuff people do. They're sitting around the table, pretending that they're eating breakfast. The bride zombie sees the wig and like longs for it and touches it. So this is where they're saying they think they're alive and they want to be human. Okay, so these actions are consistent with that, but I still don't know why they're doing it, like what motivates them.
The bride scene infuriated me too, because she found the wig on a vanity, right?
Yeah.
And then she puts the wig on and then looks directly into a mirror to see what she looked like with the wig on.
Yeah.
We've been told repeatedly that and she screams, like she hates it when she sees it, but I think this is the first time we truly see one of the zombies actually square up with the mirror, right? Like we see them in shadows and in passing and things like that.
Yeah.
But this one, we actually see a zombie look dead on into a mirror, and all they do is get upset and walk away. Like that.
Yeah. And it doesn't even impact later when April gets attacked.
No.
She's standing in front of a giant bathroom mirror, and the zombie just strolls on in like it's not there.
Yeah.
It's like they forgot that the mirror is there and that the zombies can't be near mirrors.
There was like 9 weekends between filming the opening scene and this scene, and they were like, oh yeah, we did say something about mirrors, didn't we? Shit.
And then somebody's like, let's take some time to reflect on what we've done. They all laugh and then forget what the mirrors are supposed to do.
Right. So I guess the zombies' plan now is to just wipe out the street. Because they basically go next door after they're done with the maid and Mr. Ellison. And we find a woman listening to the radio and preparing coconut brownies, which sound delightful, by the way. And the washing machine buzzer goes off, and she goes to check on the wash, which seems very consistent with a woman standing in the kitchen making desserts and things like that. Okay, she's doing the household chores, whatever it is. And she opens the lid, and the bride zombie pops out of there to strangle her. The fact that the bride zombie even fit in there in this at this time frame is ridiculous, because at that point in time in the 80s, every wash machine had an agitator in the middle of it, a big giant agitator. So the fact that she even fits in there is stupid. The fact that there was clearly not a wash in there to begin with, and the wife still responded to the buzzer as if, you gotta flip the laundry, put it in the dryer.
And I would argue this goes against the lore that they've established. When zombies are trapped, they go crazy and eat themselves. So if she can be okay with being in a dryer or the washer,
right, with
the lid shut and absolutely nowhere to move, she should be fine in a spacious basement.
You would think.
Especially because, seconds before the zombies lost their mind.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, but then also that's to discredit you thought.
I know it's a problem I have sometimes.
So they take her, they put her head first in the washer, which they strangled her first, right? They killed her, and then to dispose of her, which I don't know why they felt the need to dispose of anyone, but to dispose of her, they put her in the wash machine head first, and then the wash machine ground her into a pulp, which then came out into the utility basin. I did not.
Yeah.
I understood it, but I didn't understand this scene.
I'm gonna flip this back on you. It's because you're thinking.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
that's my bad.
Yeah, and
they could have just folded her and put her in there and closed the door, and that would have been the end of it.
Yeah, and like I wrote at this point, like, are these zombies just dicks? Like, they seem to enjoy that. So it wasn't even like, oh, she's dead. Like, she's alive and they're doing this to her. They're just doing this to a dead body for their enjoyment.
For kicks, yeah.
Yeah. For shits and gigs.
This was one of the scenes that I laughed at and enjoyed. I enjoyed the stupidity of this scene through and through. If they had taken this tone for the whole movie, I think it would have been they would have been better off.
Yes, if you added more comedy to this,
yeah,
a lot of the shit where we're like, well, this doesn't make sense and that can't be, you can ignore it because the main goal is to laugh.
You almost have this scenario, this you're accustomed to zombie movies where the humans are hunting the zombies, and the zombies are basically non-sentient beings. They're just charging forward looking for brains. They don't have plans, They don't have ideas, they don't have anything. They're just looking for brains. And you have this kind of flipped on its head to where you have the zombies hunting humans. So you could have this whole other hilarious movie in it. They're setting dumb zombie traps and things like that. But they got away from that and then got back to it. They couldn't decide what they were doing with that part.
Yeah.
So while all of this is happening and apparently making like zero noise whatsoever, because the husband is just sitting there reading the paper, and he hears none of this, and he's complaining that the guy at the way he said it was that person was like, I'm gonna say a caddy here, but it's the caddy gave us that advice and you didn't let me invest in it. You should see where that stock is now.
Yep.
And then complains that his wife smells bad. And then when he moves the paper out of the way, the zombies are there, and the zombie snaps his neck, spins his head completely around.
Yep.
This was almost a good effect, but they stayed on it for like 10 frames too long. If they had just cranked his head like to over his shoulder and then cut away, it would have looked pretty decent. But the fact that they wanted to go all the way back around with it ruined what could have been an okay special effects scene.
I agree.
So, because there's been 2 murders in her house, I guess, April is going to stay with Zoe and Jeff in the murder house.
Yeah.
There are now,
yes, she is.
As far as she knows, there are now officially at least 2 murder houses in this neighborhood, and she is not leaving the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So she starts brushing her teeth, and like she's obviously using the hard bristles because she pretty much just eradicates her gums. And then there's a zombie in the mirror when she looks up, and she faints, and the zombie just was not bothered by that mirror at all. So far this is twice where you've been in like a bathroomy situation and that mirror doesn't bother zombies. So maybe there's something about location that matters.
And even I think there was a carpet in this bathroom, and we've talked about that before, so I don't need to get into that again, but carpets do not belong in bathrooms.
Sure.
When she falls, carpet or not, you're gonna hear that shit.
There's gonna be a
if a full-grown human falls upstairs, you are going to hear that.
Absolutely.
And you should be on high alert, even at a subconscious level, after 2 murders were committed. And Jeff, he should be off the charts because 2 murders were committed. He was told there's a TV that kills people. He has that TV in the house, and he knows a woman has come out of it. So his radar should be going at full effect, looking for any sign of something not being normal.
But he has repeatedly established that he's an idiot. So we're still there. So Zoe's looking out the window, and she sees one of the zombies carrying April's dead body and puts it in the grass and goes to go back inside, and Zoe shuts the door. So that's the end of that. Zombies can't defeat doors. We know that.
And the door that Zoe shuts is not the same door that is the front door. The front door has 4 windows at the top and is blue. This, or like a green, I'm not sure based on the color that we got, but in that, in that neighborhood of colors. The interior door is white with no windows. And I don't understand it, because we have shots of Zoe opening the door and seeing her on the inside, unless the house they used to shoot in is a completely different house than the house they shot from the outside. But the actors still go inside, so I don't understand why we have this door issue, and it happens multiple times.
So Jeff wants to go help April, but April's dead. So
yeah.
So Josh says don't do it. It's not worth it. And he tells Jeff and Zoe to get every mirror they can and tape them to the front door. And then later on, Josh, we see April's in that shed that they have, and she's been completely gutted, which is more violent than the other murders these zombies have committed.
Yes.
So, finally, Josh and Jeff are ready to go zombie hunting. And they take a bow and arrows and a chainsaw with them. The bride took the chainsaw.
Well, Jeff has bow and arrows.
Yeah.
Josh has a bag of goodies.
Right.
And one of them is a chainsaw.
Right. And the bride zombie steals the chainsaw, but then they hear it, so they find it, and it's just sitting on the ground. And after last week's movie, I was expecting the chainsaw to just jump up on its own and start cutting people, and that didn't happen.
But it did something just as weird. The motor was running perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like it was on, but no, the teeth weren't moving at all.
Right. Even
though we're kind of hearing that noise.
Right.
And this is where the zombies are showing intelligence. The zombies are smarter than Jeff. They set a trap previously to this, where they hit some zombies with some bow and arrows, and they also cut a zombie in half after the bow and arrows, and they all appeared to be dead. Mm-hmm. Even though bow and arrows are not as deadly as an iron to the forehead, which one of the zombies took earlier when Maria tried to kill it. But then they all come back to life, wake each other up, and they go and attack Jeff. They try to attack Jeff, who's the bait, and Josh falls asleep inside. Like within what had to feel like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, Josh falls asleep, and he only has one job to do, which is look out the window and shoot the zombies with the bow and arrows. So when Jeff drops that chainsaw during that, that's how the bride gets it.
Right.
Yeah. So they're intelligent.
And in this trap that they've set, they manage to kill Josh with one of the arrows. They stab him. They stab him right through and through.
Yeah.
And kill him. So now Josh is gone. So now it's just Jeff, brilliant Jeff, as I like to call him in this movie. Brilliant Jeff out in the woods by himself against zombies. So we know he's going to lose. It's just a matter of how. The bride recovers the chainsaw. Jeff takes off and runs into his own bear trap. But he escapes his own bear trap and goes to the shed. Again, trapping himself instead of continuing to utilize the fact that the woods go in every direction that you could possibly want to go. And the zombies haven't really shown any speed propensities. Like we haven't seen the zombies run or anything like that. So go into a shed and sit down. And unfortunately, this is also the shed where April was killed. So he meets back up with April, which is good because he's about to die with her too. And he finds Jeff's bag of goodies, or Josh's bag of goodies, sorry, and he's got a machete in there. So while, and I had to work through this in my head a couple times too, while the bride is charging towards him with a running chainsaw that is a certain length long, he is charging towards her with a machete that is a lesser length long. And so when he connects with the bride, the chainsaw is already in his chest.
Yeah.
I can't think of a worse plan. I could not. I tried to conjure up. Once I'm already in that situation, I'm stuck in the shed, there's only one door to leave, and I have a machete and they have a chainsaw. I couldn't have come up with, I tried to come up with a worse plan than just charge directly at the running chainsaw, and I couldn't come up with a worse plan. Not at all.
You have to bald bull this one. When they charge, step aside.
Yeah.
And they're not that agile.
Right.
To be able to make a quick move. So your best bet is to step aside and then to the back of the neck, take the machete.
Yeah.
But this is Jeff.
Or and I know it's a little, it's a little morbid, but grab April's body and throw it at the chainsaw.
Yeah.
And hope that it gets choked up in there, right? I hope that connecting with April gives you at least a minute of reaction time to do something else. Besides, run directly chest first at a running chainsaw. I was so happy when Jeff died. I was so happy when he died.
I was too, but I was honestly surprised.
That they would kill him off?
Yes, I did not feel like he was going to die.
I got the sense he was going to die as they slowly, in bits and pieces, kept giving you, like, building Zoe up. Like, Zoe kept making the smart decision, and Zoe kept making the right plan. And it was all little things, but, like, okay, they're making Zoe the survivor in all of this. Josh is here, and he's got nothing left to live for, so he's going all out.
We know he's going to die. Yeah.
Jeff is a moron, so something's got to happen to him. And Zoe is being painted as at least an intelligent person.
And honestly, if it isn't today, it's going to be tomorrow in a like Florida Man style headline. Local man, Jeff, passes from whatever accident he would have gotten himself into.
Right.
And I will give him credit, though. He has to have the strongest ankles in human history to get trapped in a bear trap and then get up like he stubbed his pinky toe.
Like nothing happened.
Yeah. Like he limped a little. And he was strong enough to just pry it open on his own. Now, I've never been stuck in a bear trap, so I don't know how that, what the odds are of doing that. But I definitely know I've got one less foot when that happens. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just hobbling along.
Yeah.
So we cut back to Zoe. Zoe was told earlier, if we're not back by sundown or, 10 minutes before sundown, which what the hell is that? What is that as an instructional?
Yeah.
That she should just take Josh's truck and get out of there.
Because at that point you should just say, if we're not back in 2 hours.
If we're not back in 2 hours, if we're not back by 4:50, get out of here.
Yeah. Yes.
Because sundown is like almost a variable thing. Like you might consider sundown, when just the sun is out of your eyes line of sight, and I might say, well, that's when it goes dark. Is when it's like. This is a debatable point in time instead of just 4:55. If we're not back, get the hell out of here. And
based on the sunsets we've seen in this movie, they don't take 10 minutes. they take 10 seconds. So it is fully day out, and then it's just dark.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a really confusing instruction to give Zoe where they live.
Horrible instruction.
Yeah.
But to her credit, again, building her up as the smart one, she is going to act on this advice. Normally in this kind of movie, Zoe would be trying to find an excuse for sticking around to make sure everybody gets back, whatever it might be. But she's like, nah, it's sundown. I'm going. I'm going to leave a little note. I'm going to get out the door, and I'm going to go. But unfortunately, yeah, go ahead.
Well, her note, though, she writes Lef, not Jeff. I searched every variation of a cursive J that could possibly be out there, and that was not it. She clearly wrote a cursive L followed by an EFF on the note.
Is there any chance that it wasn't EFF and it was EFT and it said left, went for help?
No,
Okay.
no, it
All
was Jeff, but she puts his name at the top
Okay.
and her name at the bottom.
Okay.
So left, maybe that's how Jeff spells it.
Yeah.
Or yeah. So okay, I'm gonna. You know what? Knowing how dumb he is and how smart she at least appears to be, I'm gonna give her credit and think she's just helping him by spelling it the incorrect way, which is the way he knows how to spell it.
He misspelled it one time on his SATs, and then it's been a
Yeah.
family joke since then, and so she wanted to feel that kinship one last time, so she wrote it like that. So she goes to leave, and she can see that the house is surrounded by zombies, so she's not going to be able to get to the truck and get out of there. At which point in time, she starts to recall all the advice that she's been given about how to survive the zombies. And the big thing is that you should not exhibit fear in front of the zombies. So she invites them in and offers to cook dinner for them. Okay, I guess, fine. You're in a panic situation. This is a weird decision. She also recalls the if you trap them somewhere, they will eat themselves and die. Okay, that's important, sure. The zombies sit down, and I'm pretty sure she opened cans of dog food and put them in like a little pot to.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was dog food or beans,
or
but it could have been like refried beans or like, but it did have like a consistency and plop of dog food, and they don't even have a dog.
No.
So unless the dog is also moving into the house later with the parents.
I guess it's all the chocolates leftover food now that she won't need it anymore.
Yeah.
So while they're sitting around eating Sunday dinner and enjoying themselves and having conversational interactions, one of the zombies is looking through a magazine, and they see some people dancing. So they stand up and like they want to dance in the kitchen, and she says, why don't we dance in the basement? Now this is one of those things where, like you were saying, like why do they not know, just to avoid the mirrors? Why do they not know what basements usually are? They're usually, one way in, one way out type of establishments that you could possibly get trapped in. So they go downstairs, and there's a record player down there, and she starts to set the record player up, and she says, I got to go upstairs, I forgot the record. So she starts to go upstairs, and one of the zombies shows the other zombie a record and starts grunting and shaking the record. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious. And she gets to shut the door, and there's mirrors on the door, so now the zombies are effectively trapped. Effectively, as far as this movie's concerned, trapped. And immediately, with no effort put into trying to escape, they just start dissolving and eating each other. And while that's happening, there's the mirror on the TV kind of gets, jostled off, and we see like there's an opportunity for more zombies to come out of the TV, but it doesn't happen, and instead the TV says the end, and then goes to like static, like 2 a.m. static.
Right, and we're left to assume that all the zombies were sucked back in.
Right. Or the fact that they're all dead means this is the last of them. Whatever it is, this is over now.
Right.
And if they had just ended it here, okay, all right. I mean, she won. She lost her brother and this Josh guy, but she won the battle, and good, great. Zoe was the strong one, fantastic.
And it's right there for you. The TV says the end.
Yeah. Roll credits.
Just do a giant close-up.
Yep.
You're good.
Instead, Zoe is now in a mental health facility. Why? Josh was attacked by zombies. His wife was killed. He figured out, I'm assuming Josh went to war with the zombies because he knows all these different things. So he went to war with the zombies for a little while. Shipped the TV somewhere else, drove up to their house. Like, he was never mentally incapacitated. Jeff was a moron, but never mentally incapacitated. Zoe won the battle by remembering all the things she was told, was never attacked, and now she's just completely insane. Like, she's not communicating, nothing. I got so mad at this.
I am going to go back to what I said sort of as a joke at the beginning and say that the director hates his parents and that there's a lot of mental health issues that they went through, and then he's blaming his parents for it. Because we just had, I had to use the word in this movie, perfect, but we just had the perfect ending with the end. But really all this does is get jabs in at the kids' parents by showing them how vapid and detached they are. Like, they show up not even for 15 seconds and the mother's like, we simply must go shopping, dear.
Right.
So they're leaving their daughter behind, who just lost her brother and was attacked, and they could barely spend time with her.
But why was she crazy? Why was she in a mental institution in the first place? That's what bugged me.
Yeah.
Like, if the parents had come home and seen her, like, exhausted, lying on the floor, having just defeated the zombies, and they go, oh, we forgot to go buy bed sheets, we're going to go out. Okay, fine. I get that. I get the point you're trying to make. But that she went from being the victor in this movie to completely mute and insane, it made no sense whatsoever. None.
And really, that's kind of to like why we have Final Girls, because there's this satisfaction in rooting for someone to succeed,
right,
when they're clearly in a position where the odds are stacked against them. So you could then feel good at the end of the movie after Zoe has her victory.
Yeah.
But they rob you of that.
Completely stole that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the parents bringing the TV to the hospital was ridiculous. And just to set up the possible sequels. There was a million other ways to do that part of it and be fine with it. Right? Like, you could have had her just kind of survive, and the TV says the end and it goes to static. And then
the TV's not plugged in.
The TV's not plugged in.
Yeah, so it tells you it's still happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it goes to, as we're panning out, you hear it go, we now begin our broadcast day. Like, as if, that was the FCC gap. But this ending was so bad that it made the rest of the movie look decent. So perhaps that's what they were gunning for. Like, we're going to give you such a garbage ending, unsatisfactory ending, that you're going to go back and go, hey, the rest of this movie wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Hated that ending. Oh, hated it. All right. So that ending just sucked the life out of me.
I agree. It's absolutely awful.
So if this is you and you get a TV delivered to your house and you are told that zombies will come out of this TV and kill everyone, and then you watch the TV and zombies come out of the TV, how do you survive the rest of this?
I did put a little bit of thought into this one.
Okay.
I am going to dig a hole in the ground. I'm going to need professionals.
Sure.
And it's going to be large enough to drop an entire Hall of Mirrors carnival attraction into it. I am then before that is dropped in, that hole is going to be reinforced with steel on the bottom and all the sides. And then I'm going to, put the Hall of Mirrors in. I'm going to go to the middle of the Hall of Mirrors, put the TV in there. Then I'm sealing it all with another piece of steel that's going to fit on the steel walls. and then I'm going to act like I've just buried a bunch of ET Atari games, and I'm going to pour concrete over it, and then I'm going to pave over that concrete.
So we're burying them in New Mexico. I like it.
Yes.
I'm good with it all the way around.
Yeah.
I don't last long enough to have to survive this movie. Like I said, the minute that TV powers up without being plugged in, the lengths I will go to pulverize that TV are unimaginable. There will be fire involved. There will be a kiln involved. There will be molten lead and then lava on top of the molten lead, which is already its own molten thing. Then there will be like flying over different oceans and sprinkling parts of the parts and all. There's no scenario where a TV turns itself on and I go, yeah, I'm going to just live with this and see how it plays out. There's just none.
Yeah. You're going to be SpongeBob with the speck on the plate.
Yeah.
Trying to clean it.
Right. So if I'm the Killers, I don't know that I do much differently because we're never really given their drive. Like we don't necessarily know what they were hoping to accomplish. So I can't give you a plot line for how they should have accomplished it better.
If we're assuming that their goal was to kill everyone, they killed every single living creature they encountered.
Except Zoe. Yeah.
So, yeah. No, they killed Zoe. Like I'm assuming.
Well,
yeah, it's off screen and afterwards, but yes. I understand you're trying to suppress that. So they've done everything they needed to do, even though they were defeated. They still live on inside of the television. So they'll just come out again another day.
Right.
So nothing. Continue doing it. That's what you've been doing, and it's been working.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, did they make the movie you think they set out to make?
I am going to say yes. And I'm saying that because limited budget, long time to shoot it. So I think the goal here was just to have an accomplishment, to be able to say, I've made a movie. Whether that's a good movie or a bad movie, I feel that's irrelevant in this case. You know, of course you want it to be good, and you probably think anything you write is good because you're the person that wrote it. That's what people do. Anything I do, I know I think it's better than it actually is, and I'm aware of that. But I feel like other people would do that similarly. Like it's mine, it's good. So therefore, I think they accomplished their goal. So yeah, they did. They made the movie they set out to make.
I take a look at Robert Scott, the director on this movie. His accomplishments post this movie.
Yes.
And he's actually done a lot of work in Hollywood. He's done a lot of directorial work.
Not directorial, like a writing and assisting.
Well, assistant director, second assistant, but he's done a lot of work. So I think they made the movie they set out to make. I think that this guy was just trying to make like a portfolio film. Like here's what it looks like when I make a film. Like this was him making his resume. And that's fine, because if people are looking at it from that perspective, they're not necessarily going to care about the story and things like that. So yeah, I think they made the movie they wanted to make for the most part. I'm sure, as with any movie, they wish they had more budget so they could do more stuff. But yeah, I think they nailed what they were trying for.
And I think if you take out the ending and you clean up some of the writing, which you had ample time to do.
Yeah.
So this isn't one of those situations where we've got 3 weeks to make a movie and we don't have a script. I feel like if I was the one that did this, at the end of the day, I'd be proud of what I've done because I at least did it.
I hear you. There's again in that era where like there wasn't, I'm not gonna call them cheats, but if you and I wanted to make a movie right now, right? I could acquire most of the computer software that we would need to do all the
Right.
editing and everything. And then we can film it on the phones that we already own and film it in 4K. So the only thing that actually would even cost us money would be if we wanted to do some kind of special effects that were greater than what we could pull off with practical effects.
Right.
And then there's no transfer to film. There's nothing else. That we would have all the tools we needed at a very low price to make that movie. And then it would just be a matter of writing it and doing it. In the 80s, he needed an expensive camera that was dedicated to doing this sort of thing. It needs to be transferred to 35 millimeter film when it's done. The editing is really a person in an editing bay cutting film and tape. Like,
oh yeah,
it is absolutely the worst movie we've ever seen. Is still an accomplishment that somebody set out to make a movie and completed that task. So I will never take that away from them. But that being said, you had a year, like you said. You could have tweaked a few things here and there to give it some sort of linear story, some sort of linear legacy for the zombies.
Yeah.
But more importantly, would you watch it again?
See, I would not.
Okay.
And the reason, the main, everything aside that we've already talked about, I feel like this almost comes off like a Goosebumps episode, and I'm not making fun of Goosebumps, in any way. I'm just saying that's the feel and the concept here. Like, oh, I've got a spooky TV, things come out of it. And when you have that concept, but then we have this weird gore type of thing, because there are some very gory scenes considering the lack of special effects. The feel of the movie and the visuals don't always align. And I feel like if this movie was an EKG machine, it would start out on a beep, and that beep would remain consistent throughout the entire movie with the same tone. It would never go up. It would never go down. It would just be the same tone. And that's like the energy this movie has. It starts here and it never, ever escalates. It's just the same feeling for me throughout the entire movie. So I'm not really getting anything from it. And there's really nothing I want to see again. So I would not watch the movie again.
I think I would watch it one more time just to see if, like I said earlier, if there's like some underlying story that I missed because I was focused on the zombie story that makes this movie a whole different entity than what it is on the surface. I doubt that that's there after considering the whole movie and what it looked like. But I will give them the opportunity to prove me wrong by watching the movie one more time. How would you go about cleaning this movie up?
The very first thing I want to do is change the delivery. I wouldn't have it be delivered. We're not going to follow the TV to the incorrect house. We're going to start with the destination the TV is supposed to get to. So when they open up the box thinking it's the TV, it's not. It's like a typewriter. And then we cut to Henry opening the box. He thinks it's the typewriter, and it's the TV. So now we can kind of get some level of escalation, like, oh shit, where is this thing? Which then lets us be aware. It almost gets us to accept sooner that the TV is going to do some crazy shit. Especially with how they like to explain everything, that might have been helpful. The next thing I'm going to do is the most interesting part, I think, not interesting to me to rewatch, but I mean the thought process in making it was when the TV was talking to Jeff. That is different. That's the only time the TV acts differently. Josh said that the TV will try to trick you, yet we only see the TV try to trick somebody once. This is where the TV is trying to get into Jeff's head and mislead him, not kill him right away, even though that's probably the end game here. So I would want more of the TV kind to trick each person. um, instead of just sending zombies after them the whole time. And the way that we're going to do this compounds with my feeling like if this name is the name of the movie is The Video Dead, as they tell us it is in the movie, there needs to be more video. So I think instead of just making it zombies on the loose that came from the TV at the start of the movie, the TV should also come with videotapes that each provide a different type of challenge or monster. And once you start the process, you must see it to completion in order to survive. So we can still have our zombies come out at first when the zombie movie is placed into the VCR that comes with the TV. When the girl comes out of the TV for Jeff, it's because that movie's a porn or, you know, a soft, whatever it is, it's that type of movie. So that's the adversary you have. And I know that the budget isn't going to be huge here, so we don't have to get crazy with it. We can do something as simple as Dracula or some sort of masked murderer. It can be any type of challenge that's going to come out of the TV and either try to trick you or kill you. And you to get rid of the dead, you just can't kill them because the TV's possessed or it's cursed in some way. So when this happens, I'm not questioning all those set of rules anymore, because now I know, based on the people at the, you know, like we could have the people at the Institute explain what the TV does. It's like, oh shit, you started it, because they'll be the ones that show up instead of Josh. And they said, what tape are you on? Okay, you have to play the rest in this order and defeat everything that comes out, or this will always haunt you, type of thing. And then once all the tapes are played, the threat's done if they defeat each monster or challenge, and the movie's over.
So it's funny that basically earlier you said it was like a Goosebumps episode.
Yes.
And then what you've turned this into was the first season of the Goosebumps show that they did on Disney Plus with Slappy and Jimmy O. James, where basically everybody that Slappy encounters, they get this whatever ideal thing in their mind so that they can sign off on what they need to sign off on, because they think they're signing off on something else. And so for each person, it's a different vision, it's a different whatever, to kind of hypnotize them and convince them into this. And that's and then people have to figure out how it works and figure out how to break it and move forward from there. I'm with all of what you said, though. Even in saying that, I just thought it was, you know, funny that it lined up like that. But I think I get rid of the mental aspect altogether. I'm just gonna make this a pure zombies on the charge kind of movie.
Yeah.
Where whenever the TV is active, zombies are pouring out of it. Not 5 or 6, but just legions of zombies are pouring out of this thing. And the goal for the people that are surviving is to figure out how to shut this TV down, how to defeat the genesis of all of this, because it seems like it's never going to stop producing.
Right.
It doesn't need power. It doesn't need a specific location, but we know that these mirrors are, you know, the thing that's going to do it. And the other thing I'm going to do is make the mirrors way more effective. They made the trapping them in a room the level of effective I wanted the mirrors to be.
Yes.
Right? Like as soon as they see themselves in the mirror, they just melt out, and that's it. There's nothing left. So they know to spend their time avoiding bathrooms and avoiding areas that would generally contain mirrors, because as soon as they see it, it's over. And you almost have to con them into looking into mirrors, because we're not going to have a movie where people just run around holding big body length mirrors the whole time. And that's pretty much where I'm going to fix it at. And no matter what else I do, this movie does not end in an asylum at all, in any capacity whatsoever. Everybody fighting these zombies is, you know, they're fundamentally changed from this experience. I'm not saying that everybody's just sane and fine, but you're not going to convince me that you can go from being top warrior to complete loon in a matter of days because you survived the zombie apocalypse. It's horseshit. In fact, the last scene in this movie is us stringing up the director of the old movie and shooting him.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to hurt him too bad, just put him in the bear trap.
No, I'm shooting. Shooting him.
He'll have a limp for like 30 seconds.
I'm shooting him, and in fact, then I'm putting the TV underneath of him so that the zombies come directly out at him. Then he can go to the loony bin. Jerk. So that has been our bloody take on this movie, The Video Dead. If you have already suffered through it, you can give us your thoughts on it. If you haven't, maybe don't. Do what you want. I can't tell you how to live your life. But you can find us at all the socials. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Blue Sky, Twitter. It's One Bloody Take, all one word. And we're also on TikTok at _bloody_take. Find the podcast pretty much anywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Substack. Just search us out. Subscribe, whatever you want to do to make us a recurring download. We appreciate it. We put out a new episode every Wednesday. Join us next week when we discuss 1988's Sleepaway Camp 2, Electric Boogaloo. I'm Paul.
Now I'm Russ.
Thanks for listening to Our Bloody Take.